So let's check out the tape measure. I don't remember what I had the measurements at before. I think the kit advertises for my stock suspension going to these springs about 1.5 inch drop in the rear and a 1.3 in the front. And I think the idea is just to level the car off. Hey, what is going on, guys? Donovan here. Please excuse the crazy hair. I was working on the next project for the RT and I realized that I wasn't filming anything, and I was like, well, you guys are missing out. So this is pretty much like the most requested mod I've had for this car, and some of you guys have seen it on Instagram already. I haven't announced it on YouTube, and it is actually the Eibach lowering springs. As you can see, I have my tape measure so we can measure the before and after really quick, but as you can see, I was getting ready to jack up the car and I realized I wasn't filming. So basically I went with the Pro kit mostly because other people like RT Life, their car was a little too low when they went with the Sportline kit and they were getting serious traction issues. That's kind of the reason why I just went with the Pro kit, and plus I'm not a huge fan of the tucked look. As you can see, there's kind of a decent wheel gap. This is just stock suspension. This is a black top package car, not a road and track package, so that's why it's a little bit higher than usual. So this should help with that a little bit. So go ahead, measure these a little bit from like the top of the tire to there. So just for reference, see that. Now let's do the front. Oh, do not balance as well as I thought I did. So you can see there 2.75 inches for the front. So we'll see how it looks. This isn't intended to be a tutorial video by any means. I just wanted to show you guys before and after, since a lot of people opt for the Sportline, not the Pro kit. So this should hopefully give you guys some sort of clue as to what these do. Okay, so as you can see, it's nighttime. That's indicative of how long it took us to do the rear. So there's really only 4 bolts that sorry if I just blinded you. There's really only 4 bolts that you need to take off, which you can't see now because in the moment we kind of just put the car together. The hardest part is, I think they're the lower control arms. I think that's technically what they are. Trying to angle them back, and you basically have to kind of guess on the suspension geometry, lift up different spots at the jack, basically until you get lucky and everything lines up. So I'm getting ready to drop the car right now. The springs are on. As you can see, I have the old ones there. The fronts we have not done yet. I don't think you can really see the springs. Maybe if I come under here, look a little bit shinier up there. Other than that, I'm gonna jack up the car and we're gonna see, we'll see if it looks any lower, which I know it has to settle and stuff, but it should be still somewhat lower. So my dad and I were talking a little bit right now. I need to drive it around a little bit because right now the way the tires are sitting, it kind of looks a little taller. But as you can see, that's the height right now. I'll back it up a little bit, or I'll also show you guys when it's a little lighter outside. Okay guys, so it's still nighttime, still the same day. We figured we're just gonna keep going because according to some people the front was easier, and so far that seems to be true. Compressing springs, you need to be very careful. Like I said before, this is not going to be a tutorial or anything, so it's kind of study it up so you're making sure you're doing it safely. And of course, this is, you know, not intended to be any sort of tutorial. So now that that base is covered, these are the stock springs. These are the Eibach ones. So they look to be like, when they're unstretched, about the same size, but because the coil distance is different on these ones, they end up sitting lower or whatever. We're assembling the driver's side first, and then we'll go over to the passenger side, and then I'll keep you guys updated. Okay guys, so it's the next day. I'm going to go stand in the street since, as you guys know, we finished at night. I got my tape measure so we can check what the difference is. As you can see, the car definitely looks lower, especially in the back. I was hoping the front would be a little lower, but of course it still has to settle a little bit. It's only been like a day or two, and so you know, obviously they're gonna settle, probably not a lot, but a little bit. Let's check out the tape measure. I don't remember what I had the measurements at before, but I think the kit advertises for my stock suspension going to these springs about a 1.5 inch drop in the rear and a 1.3 in the front, and I think the idea is just to level the car off a little bit. The car sat really high before, you guys knew that. The comment I got the most was, when are you gonna lower the thing? So it's lower now. I don't want to see those comments anymore. The install in the front wasn't bad. I do want to mention though that the tools you need were that spring compressor you saw me using last night, and then you also need a ball joint puller. Well, you can't really see it now, but you have your A arm, your upper control arm here. There's a ball joint on that that you want to pull off, you want to separate, which that you can't really do without the tool. And the reason you want that tool is you don't want to ruin that ball joint and have to buy like a new A-arm. So I'm just going to show you these. Sorry if you could hear the washer in the background. But here's your spring compressor. Be very careful with these. Like I said before, these are Widowmakers. And this ball joint puller, it basically prevents you from piercing the rubber and like ruining your ball joint, like I said. So these are really the only two tools that you'll probably have to rent, because I doubt most people have these. And then you pretty much need air tools to do this. It's going to make your life much easier, especially when compressing the springs, because they're not hard to compress. You just have to turn it a lot and it'll take forever, blah blah blah. And some of the suspension pieces actually in like on the car, it's best to like break it by hand with like a breaker bar, and then use an air tool to just pull the like bolt all the way off or something like that. As you guys can see, I have my oil over here because I got to do an oil change later, going to a heavier weight. But yeah, with that being said, that's pretty much it, guys. I've driven the car a little bit. Surprisingly, it actually feels a little bit smoother. I think the springs are progressive rate, whereas the stock ones were linear. That basically just means that depending on the driving conditions, the springs kind of adapt, and they do that by having like different spaced coils along the length of the spring. So I'm sure you can watch other videos on that that'll explain it better. With that being said, I'll do a more formal, I guess, review in like a week or so, let you guys know how it feels, let you guys know how it drives, whether it's worth it or not to do it. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys. I'm gonna get run over. With that being said, I will. Ooh, my brakes are super rusted from the rain. Whatever. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you found it somewhat helpful, somewhat informative, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.